Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. This is Smart Business Moves.
Hello.
January 31st. Can you believe we made it through January? Almost. We're almost there.
Well, I mean, I can believe that we made it through, but it's been a tough month, really, in a lot of ways. So,
How,
you know what?
how so?
All right. So this has been the main thing that has been a struggle for me today on the 31st. With the 31st being a Monday, what I'm seeing with over 50 people that are in the strategic success groups and that they're all putting on their worksheet for today. So how we do this is on Monday, we do what we call a Monday check-in. And on Monday check-in, you tell us what you did last week, and then you declare what you're going to do this coming week. Well, everybody put stuff on their list for what they're going to do in this coming week related to stuff from January. I'm like, y'all, this week, today is the end of it. So what are you going to do the rest of the week? That needs to be related to your February wigs, your goals for February.
So,
Not
so going back and looking at Jan, is that cheating a little bit? Is that kind of mailing it in?
that doing the January thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but I don't think people recognized it. When I said it, people were like, oh yeah. So I think that it's just one of those, it's easy to just start working on stuff and then not really paying really close attention, not being, diligent about the dates. And you had goals that you needed to meet by the end of January, because if you're putting them on your list as things that you're going to do this week, you didn't meet them.
So, I mean, that's really a pretty good example, though, of being mindful and doing things with intent. It's
Absolutely.
the work that you guys are doing is important because
Yeah.
you get more work done. Days don't turn into weeks, turn into months, and
Yeah.
then you look up and you say, "Well, where did my life go?" You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. What did I do? How many times have I had this conversation with somebody on Monday and they say, well, I was really busy last week. Yeah, but that doesn't count. Actually, really busy last week and you didn't get the things done that you said you were going to get done. That's kind of negative points. I'm like, that's not good. Like, everybody can stay busy. I mean, Tom, couldn't you stay busy 60 hours a week? No problem.
Oh, it's easy. It is easy, and you can tell yourself you're working. And I guess by some definitions, maybe you are.
No, you are working, and a lot of times it's hard work, and you are like putting in the hours, and at the end of the week you're drained. You work so hard, but that is the
It's the
biggest
difference
problem.
between motion and movement. They
Yeah,
both feel like the same thing.
yeah,
They both, a lot of times, they look like the same thing
you do.
until you look back and say, okay, well, we burned a lot of calories, but are we really in a better place? Are we really where we want to be, or are we
Yeah.
still
Well, and
where
that's
we
what I
were?
was going to say. A lot of times you don't even have to look back. You just look where you are today. Are you further ahead? Because how many times do people look at where they are today and they're not further ahead? They're not only not further ahead from last week, but they're not further ahead from 6 months ago or even a year ago, right? We see that all the time. It's really easy to stay busy, 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 and not actually have any forward momentum. So yeah, that's what I've been dealing with today. Of the people that I quizzed on calls today, and there were over 50 people in Monday check-in today. Only 2 people out of all of them had stuff in their Monday check-in today, stuff that they were going to do that came off of their February leads and wigs. How crazy is that? 2. These are smart business owners. What are these business owners? Well, actually, there's a few that are multi-million-dollar business owners. None of them had stuff. There you go, Warren. You know what? They would love to have something to blame it on. I'm going to send it to them. Say, all right, y'all, we give you an excuse. But it was none of the multi-million-dollar companies that are are the ones that were doing it correctly. Well, there were only two, first off, and they were both in the mid-range. Both companies were in the like 600, 7, $800,000 range. Isn't that crazy? Hey,
Well,
Denise. She's
that's where they are at the moment. But if they
yeah.
keep doing what you're
Oh no.
describing,
Oh no, they're growing. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Denise, good job showing your face in here. She's one of the people that was like, dang. No, and I'm calling her out there.
so you know, we were going to take everything that we've talked about this month and tie it up in the context of being profitable. And there are certain KPIs that certainly have a big impact on being able to create the most value out of the time and treasure you put into your business. But what you're describing here arguably is just, if not more important, because it's really easy to kind of get sucked into the activity and lose sight of the result.
Oh my gosh.
And I got my numbers and I got my reports, and I spent the last 3 days building the spreadsheet, and yada yada yada, and
These videos, creating all this, yeah, absolutely.
it's it makes you feel good, or it makes you feel like, look at this, and we all love painting our own masterpiece too. That's another thing. I've shared with you. I came to the conclusion that if we just built a black box that spit money out, a lot of people wouldn't want that. They want to build their own black box, right?
That is true. Like, yeah, that's cool and everything, but it'd be better if it spit out hundreds instead of 20.
That's not the way that we do it. This is the way that we want it. And I mean, I get it. It's like it's spitting out money. It's spitting out.
Yeah, but if it could like rain down on me, that would be better.
Does it come in any other colors but black?
$100 bills instead of ones. I want it to work the way I want it to work. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So one of the things that we actually talk about in this Monday check-in, that is, it's such a little subtle distinction, but it really, really matters, is if you didn't get things done, like the things that you said you were going to get done last week, why didn't you get them done? People always just want to have like a quick answer. I was busy, or, they always have like this quick excuse. But when we think in terms of not the excuse for why you didn't get it done, but what's the reason? Let's dig and let's find out what the reason is that you didn't get it done, so that we can create systems to overcome your typical bottlenecks, the things that, hold on.
Wow. We're having some technical difficulties here.
I got that fixed just in time.
Okay.
But it's crazy, those distinctions. There is a difference between a reason and an excuse, right? And it's funny that we a lot of times default to the excuse because it's quick, it's easy. And most of the time, people will let you off the hook with an excuse. This is so weird. They'll let you off the hook with an excuse more than they will for a reason. Because with an excuse, they don't want to fight with you. They don't want to argue with you. Uh-oh, we're getting feedback.
Are you?
I was on my end. You weren't getting it?
No, sound good over here.
All right, good.
What's the difference between a reason and an excuse?
Well, depends on who you talk to. My definition, the definition that I use, is a reason is something that you're accepting responsibility for. Like I'm responsible for this thing in this way. It didn't get done because of me. An excuse is something outside yourself. So it didn't get done because. So the example that I like to use that I think is helpful is, sorry.
Okay. Let it go. You'll feel better.
I'm still dealing with this COVID cough. All right.
Yeah.
So
And that was like November.
November, Thanksgiving. Yeah. Yeah. Hasn't gone away yet. So the one I like to use is you show up late somewhere. A reason is, hey, I'm sorry I'm late. I misjudged the amount of time that it would take to get here. I screwed up. I'm the one. And an excuse is, I'm sorry I'm late. There was an accident. There was an accident on the road. Or, there was a lot more traffic. It's Christmas and the traffic was bad. Or, wow, the rush hour started way early tonight. I normally I can travel at this time with no problem, but boy, traffic was bad. So I'm not saying that's 100%, right?
I get it though.
Yeah.
A reason you're owning it.
Yeah.
You're basically saying it was within my control and I just didn't behave in the best way.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's an excuse, it's some external fault. It wasn't my fault. It was,
Yeah. And Tom, you and I have talked about this a lot. We always want it to be a reason. We want it to be our responsibility, our mistake, our fault. That's a good thing because that's where the power is, which is back to KPIs again. We're fine with bad numbers. Bad numbers that are backed by data, we have a lot of power there. Good numbers without, so the coach out. Okay, thanks, Heather, for the honey tip. Maybe I'll check that out. You guys
okay.
can't see my eyes are watering trying to hold in these coughs. My face doesn't normally look this pink. My ears, a little pink, trying to hold in the cough. So back to and that ties right back in to the KPIs and good, solid data is so much better than good thoughts, good information that is not accurate. Or even more important, that your subconscious doesn't believe to be accurate. That is critical. We don't talk a lot about that, but we sort of skirt around it a lot when we're talking about things like, so I'm setting a goal. If I set a goal and I'm just like, hey, I want to be a $5 million company next year, your subconscious knows what you've been doing. Like that's not happening. That's awesome that you want to be a $5 million company, but guess what? That's never happening. I'm not even trying. But if you have some data and say, hey, this is what we've been doing, this is where we've been, and I want to go here because of this and this reasoning, then your whole mind can help you work toward your goal. Don't know why I'm rambling about this so much.
This all plays because this you can tie this back into KPIs as well. There was a speaker that we heard in Tucson. We were at an event. It was an ARCSI event. His name was Jeff. He writes a lot for
Really?
Inc. magazine.
Crilly? Is that Crilly, silly, Crilley? Is that him?
No, give me a second.
Okay.
He's really, if nothing else, follow this guy on LinkedIn now because he writes a ton for Inc. magazine. He's got good stuff, and he writes about the psychological effects of telling people your goals. Like you tell somebody, "Hey, I'm going to be running the Boston Marathon next year," and your friends are congratulating you, saying that's really awesome, and the adrenaline starts flowing, and you basically start celebrating and having that euphoric feeling that you've actually done something. Jeff Hayden.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It was Jeff Hayden. Yeah.
Um, and the whole point is sometimes when you just tell somebody something and you talk about it, your mind starts thinking that you actually did it, and you don't bother to get out of bed in the morning and run and watch your diet and do all the things that you need to do to get ready for the marathon. You don't have to, because you're enjoying the feeling that you've done all of that just by telling people and simulating it in your head. And KPIs are kind of like that too. It's good, make us back to, I got the numbers together. I, built the spreadsheets. I can tell you, what my payroll to revenue is and what my employee turnover rate is. And I can, but you're not really using KPIs to do anything. It's just like, I use the term air guitar. It, it's fun. And somewhere in your head, you think that you're actually doing it, but you aren't.
Mm-mm. You're not actually making anything happen. You're not using those numbers as a tool. You're just looking at them flat, like a photograph. All right. You're not recognizing that this is something to help you move forward. All right. So we talked about this today. And in one of our, I don't remember which circle we were in, but I love this little idea that whenever you are looking at, anytime you find yourself looking at something, some type of data, some type of information, you're trying to figure out what happened, what went wrong, and dissect it, and you do all of the things that's only half of what you need to be doing. There's two pieces. One is look back, find out what went wrong, find out why, get all that dissected, do all the stuff that you want, but don't forget that the second half is about the future. What's the future going to look like now? What's the plan? How are you doing things differently? How does that information that you just got impact where you're going? And if it doesn't, then you just wasted your time. There was literally no reason for you to do that. Why? Oh, what do we got here? Oh, the motivation.
Okay. And this is a decent little book. It's an easy read too. And like I said, he's one of my more favorite bloggers out there. He's all over Inc. magazine. But this is a good book if you're having a hard time taking what you know and what you intend to do. If you play a lot of air guitar and you feel like there's a lot of motion, but maybe not as much movement as there should be, there's some good stuff here.
Yeah.
Something else that might be helpful, kind of along this vein. You've heard the term, what gets measured gets done.
Yep.
And that can be true if you use what you're measuring to do stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not always true. It's very easy to measure your KPIs and not get anything done with it. Yeah. This is, I guess, a list that was put together by a guy, Craig Kramer's, the CEO Toolkit. You're familiar with that list?
Yeah, that book.
That was Craig. The original one. Craig passed away several years ago, and I guess somebody else bought that book and redid it. We'll share that as well, because I love the CEO Toolkit. If you're into really quick ways to drive results in your business. But what Craig would say is, okay, you got your KPIs, you got your numbers, but how are you going to use them to get the business outcomes you're looking for? And one of the first things that he would suggest is you need to set overall goals with your key people. Because the presumption is, I mean, if you're a sole proprietor, or if you're the owner and you've got a few cleaning technicians, I guess you've already done that. You might just be your key person. But assuming that you've got a support team and people making important decisions, you can argue, depending upon the nature of the metric, that everybody in the organization, every cleaning professional should know as well. But when you figure out, where your numbers are, you set some goals and say, okay, these are the metrics that we want to drive in a positive direction, and you share it with your key people. You communicate the goal repetitively and build trust. Track the actual against the goal and give feedback frequently.
One thing that I don't see in here that I think, well, you might not be done. Do you have another little bullet?
Oh, there's several slides.
Right. Well, one more bullet that I think is up a little bit higher, should be up higher. This is something we talked about with Joe Walsh this past month, and you and I have talked about this quite a bit, is when we're talking about setting an overall goal with your key people, it doesn't, the key word there is with, right? Not tell your people what the goals are. And that is again, back to distinction, right? That is a distinction that really matters. Setting a goal with your key people is different than giving the goal to your people. You'll get different outcomes by doing that. One is engaging, one is not. So that piece I really like to hammer on just a little bit.
And you know what? In a lot of cases, I don't want to say it doesn't matter at all what the goal is, but there's probably a lot of goals that are going to be putting you in a much better position than where you are now. And picking a goal that everybody can agree on and executing it is often much better than just saying, no, it has to be this goal, and you're the only person that sees any value in it, and it never happens.
Oh, I agree. 100% I agree. Yeah. And I agree too, that if you're the kind of person that is stuck, we see this a lot where people are like, I don't know what my goal should be. I just don't know. I have no idea. We tell people, start with a revenue goal. Start there. If you don't know, and if you don't know how much, we'll just give you a number, and let's just start there and let's see what we get. Let's start measuring some stuff and figure out what makes sense. You'll be able to figure it out quickly once you start. For some people, the starting is hard, right? And I don't know if that's directly related to what you were talking about, Tom, as far as the setting the goal thing and maybe getting a little bit of that that little, what's the bump?
The adrenaline?
Yeah, oxytocin. I was thinking that oxytocin. Yeah.
Whatever it is. The chemicals fly around your body that make you feel good.
And we want more of that, right? So for some people, fear stops them. They talk about it, and it doesn't make them feel good to talk about it. It makes them feel fearful. They want to get the right goal, do it the right way. So there's lots of things that are sticky for people, that make it hard for people to meet goals, or even to set goals. But there definitely are some best practices. And one is setting a goal, a goal.
And what's the saying? I'm not gonna get this exactly right, but a good idea done is better than the perfect idea never realized.
Yeah.
There's a dozen different ways to say that, but just anything, there's a broad set of options in the consideration set. If you just pick one and do it, and you're going to be better off than spending the next month wringing your hands over, what is our goal going to be.
And it's funny how focused you can get once you set it and start working it. Now it becomes clear. Now it really becomes clear okay, now I see it.
Especially, assuming that the goal isn't contingent upon doing something that falls into the area that I call a non-reversible decision.
Yeah.
Most decisions that we really wrestle over are reversible. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, we won't do that anymore, and we'll do something else. if the decision is we're going to go out and buy a new office location or buy a competitor or spend a lot of money on something or completely change our business model in a way that if it doesn't work it's going to be very difficult to undo, or if it doesn't work we're not going to have enough money to make payroll on Friday, then you really want to wrestle with those a little bit. You don't want to be just we'll try, that's
Yeah.
different, but that's rare. That's not what, most of the decisions that we wrestle with are reversible decisions. They're, you know, let's not wring our hand over it or, over it that much. Let's just try it. And if we like the results, we'll keep doing it. If we don't, we'll stop and do something different. But we're taking action.
Yeah.
Success is about action. KPIs is really about action. I guess that's the part that at least in part what we want to drive home. It's not about being on maid service Jeopardy and being able to answer the questions. What is productivity? It's about using those numbers to take action. Before I flip off of this screen, building trust. Let's talk about that just for a minute, Liz. How can we use the communication and setting goals repetitively? How does all that fit into the context of building trust?
Well, there's a lot of different ways that it can help to build trust. Trust is built by, there's tons of different ways to build trust and also to lose trust and to damage trust. But when people say things and then their words are backed up by their actions, that builds trust. So it doesn't, like if I say, I want to do this thing, but then I don't ever do it, don't even take action toward it. I just keep talking about how I want to do it. I want to do it. I'll use an example of, I want to lose 20 pounds, right? I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going on a diet. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. And I still weigh 155 pounds. Nobody even hears me anymore. And I don't even hear me anymore, right? Nobody trusts me about this thing around losing weight. And I don't even trust me. I'm just saying it because, it would be awesome if somebody would come and cut 20 pounds off me. But if that doesn't happen, guess what? I'm not losing 20 pounds. This is who I am. So when it comes to building trust, a big chunk of that is talking about it, but also, again, taking the action. So when I think about it, I like to think of it like the thing, whatever it is, the goal is like a hammer, right? And so we've got the hammer and it's sitting on my desk. It's like, oh my gosh, we're totally going to build that building over there. Look, I've got a hammer. I've got my KPIs. I can totally meet my goal. Until you freaking pick up the hammer, nothing's happening. You can look at the hammer. You can be so excited about all the tools. Look at this fancy toolbox. I got it all. I've got everything. And I'm going to hammer on, pun intended, I'm going to hammer on Made Central about this for a second, Tom. So Made Central has a ton of reports. It has awesome data. It does have a ton of stuff. But that's not enough. That's just not enough that you have it. I could have, like I said, hammer sitting on my desk. Things aren't being built until I pick up the hammer and I figure out how to work it. Same thing with that.
The KPIs are necessary. You're not managing your business. You're not going to be getting results. You're not going to get the outcomes you're looking for without the data. So you need it.
I have to argue one point. Real quick, don't lose your point. I won't lose it. I won't let you lose it. But I have to make this argument because a lot of people that are hear you say that, hear me say that, hear anybody say that, they think this. That's not true. I've got 22% profit, and I've never looked at a KPI. I just had that conversation with someone. So as long as you say this, you also got to hit up on the lucky thing.
Sure. I mean, it can happen. My financial planning strategy might be buying lottery tickets, and that works for a very small percentage of the people. for a while. Most of the people who hit the lottery wind up losing it before, but um, you want to be successful because you're lucky. You want to be successful because you're making it happen. And the only way that you can do that, they call it from a deterministic standpoint, from a way that you're going to be getting the outcomes that you want to get, that is through having the data, that is through the KPIs. It's like publicly traded companies. They tell the world, this is what we're going to do next quarter. This is what we're going to do next year. And every once in a while they miss, but more times than not, they actually generate the revenue that they say they're going to generate, make the profit that they say they're going to make, or they do more because they use the data to drive it in that direction. They call it predictable outcomes. You're not leaving it to chance when you are able to run your business in a way where you're getting predictable outcomes. There's a whole lot involved in that, but that's really what you're talking about. And just because you have the numbers doesn't guarantee that you're going to get the predictable outcomes, but it is safe to say that you're not going to be able to consistently get predictable outcomes without the numbers. It can work for a while, and then some unprecedented event happens, say a pandemic, and inflation goes up, and salaries go up, and things kind of get upside down. You have to change what you're doing in order to continue to get the outcomes. Without the numbers, you're really flying blind.
And there's one more piece of this too that we hit on earlier, is even if you are hitting the numbers, even if you are making money, even if things are going well, you don't feel good. Because you know what? You don't feel good with just a black box that's spitting out money. You want to feel like you're in control of it, that you are part of why. The reason why you're making money is because of you, not because, these external forces. Again, and we're going back to that responsibility thing again.
And the fear of you don't know what's inside of the black box. Just because it's spitting out money now, how much more money is in it? Is there, will it be spitting out money tomorrow?
Yeah. And how do we know? So you're always nervous, always on edge. Don't ever have a feeling of confidence that you're the one that's driving it, that you can make it happen, that you can have more money in a year, 2 years, 3 years. I love that you said how much money is actually in the box. I never thought of that. I'm like, but Tom, it's a magic box.
It's going to spit out money forever. Oh, you just never know when that last dollar maybe comes out.
Yeah. I make these things. Have you ever seen those boxes that I make, Tom, with the money in them?
You make boxes that spit out money?
Well, I will. Actually, I should. So I make them as gifts, and a lot of times, and I take like tissue boxes, just like a regular square tissue box, and I cover it and I make it all pretty. And then I take dollar bills or 5s, 10s, 20s, whatever, bunch of dollars and a 20 and maybe a candy bar. And I tape them all together. I tape $1 and then a candy bar and then a 5 and then maybe, who knows, tape this whole stuff together.
Pulling them out like clean up.
Yeah. And it's really funny because people will pull it out in the beginning. They're like really excited. They're pulling out slowly. And then they start pulling it out fast. And then they start going slow again. They're like, oh, when am I going to get to the end? They know the end is coming.
They don't want to stop.
And they don't want to stop. Yeah. And it's kind of like that. You know the end is coming, but when? And it's scary, right? It feels nerve-wracking. So I never actually thought of your black box like that, but now I will.
Well,
that last dollar.
So if you don't, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was going to pull up the book real quick.
Oh, Greg Kramer's book?
Yeah, I'll grab it while you're doing this.
Okay. If you don't tell anyone what you've measured as you go along, very little will get done. So it's the whole communication thing again. I guess that was part of building trust. If you get your team together and say, okay, this is our goal for the month, the quarter, the year, whatever. And that's the last time you say anything until the end of the quarter. The likelihood is, nothing's going to happen. Nobody's even going to be thinking about it. It's like, well, he only mentioned it once, so I don't even think he was serious. There's not a lot of trust that this is really what we're going all in on. So you need to tell everybody, you need to tell them frequently. Kind of have the right measuring device or system. We talked about, this was actually used inside of foundations, but the point is you need good data, and having the right work measurement tools. And you mentioned Made Central. I mean, that is really like one of our superpowers, is capturing all the times and all the data related to every job and every technician, and it gives you all of the data you need to make the smart business moves inside of your business. You measure the wrong thing, then sure enough, the wrong thing will get done.
That's kind of like practice makes perfect. And if you practice the wrong things, you'll get really good at doing things the wrong way.
Wrong way, perfect line.
Yeah.
You'll like this one, Liz.
Yes, I do. I love that. And I don't have a problem with people measuring a lot of things, just not all at the same time. Right? Focus on what you need to be focusing on the areas of most concern at one time. And then when you get those fixed, dialed in, you got them going where they're supposed to go, great. Add in another one, release one, something. I don't like the idea of working on 25 KPIs all at the same time. That is not a KPI at that point. That's a metric.
In your success groups, you have like a critical 5 that you really drill on, or is it 6 now?
It's 6. We've added quality for this year. So yeah, we work on revenue. How much money are you bringing in? Revenue. How many team members? We call them cleaning professionals. Do you guys hear those cats? How many cleaning professionals do you have working for you? How many clients do you have? What's your net profit? What's your quality? And what's your payroll percent to revenue? Because your number one biggest expense is that payroll. And a lot of times, so we have a really successful business owner in one of our groups, in our one of our mastery groups this year. And he was arguing with me about tracking client count. He's like, I just don't even see the value in that. I don't see why I need to track client count. I'm tracking revenue. That's good enough. And I got to tell you, today, when he came into Monday check-in and said, okay, Liz, I get it. You're right. I do need to be tracking clients. And he listed out, 5 different reasons why. I was like, oh, yeah, come on.
Give it to me.
Yeah. Because not everything seems like it matters, but those things really do matter because they are critical. Those numbers, if they go wonky, things are not going well in your business. You need to get those things fixed fast. Other things can be going wrong in your business that aren't going to impact you as quickly as these things. So, and that's why I struggled with quality. I didn't have quality in there for years, and I had people asking to have it. I was like, back and forth with quality. But
so really, what are the 6? What are the 6? Like, one is revenue. That's
professionals, the number of clients, your net profit, your quality, like I said, and payroll percent to revenue.
Yeah. Okay. So when you say clients, you're talking about clients with a recurring schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we need to track recurring in our, most of the time, we need to track the number of recurring because we need to be watching that money that's going to be coming in on a regular basis. I do know a couple of companies that don't track recurring because it's not the majority of their business, that they're, the majority, 70% of their business is singles.
One-time jobs.
Yeah, just the single one-time cleaning. And that's a different, it's a completely different model. totally a viable model, but it's a different model, and they're looking at different things. So they do have to track in a different way. They still have to track how many jobs they're doing. Right? They do need to track that. And
do you have anyone in your success group that
we don't.
Okay.
We don't. We had somebody that was doing that, but they really changed their model around and decided that they wanted to work more on getting recurring jobs, and so they've switched that model around. Yeah. It's just a harder model.
This is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is good.
It's really more about what you do with the information, who you tell, and how you tell it to them than actually, the details in terms of how you're measuring it. And that gets back to, if you're spending hours and hours and hours building your spreadsheet, it's yours, and you really, once you build it, you're satisfied that you know your KPIs, then you're missing the real opportunity.
Just picture that lovely hammer sitting on your desk, doing nothing.
People don't care what measure you use. They want to know is, how are we doing?
Who were we talking to that I thought did this really well? Last month, Sarah in Iowa. I love the way she does this. She has a different measure for her office than she does for her cleaning professionals. In her office, they measure dollars. Out in the field, they measure homes. Mm-hmm. So the cleaning professionals pay attention to how many homes we're cleaning, because that's what they're thinking about, right? Oh, I'm cleaning 2 a day, and they're able to think in terms of homes. But in the office, they're talking dollars all day, every day. I love that she has that, because it does matter. I like, for exactly this reason. It doesn't matter what measure you're using. How are we doing? And the people in the field know that by houses, not by dollars.
No. Liz, I've heard you say many a time that everybody needs a number.
There's so many times. I 100% believe that everyone needs a number that matters to them, that they see their part in contributing to the company, and how they personally are contributing, and that they are important to the company.
And I had a person share an analogy with me a long time ago of, what would it be like if you were at the bowling alley and there was a sheet in front of the pins, and you were rolling the ball down the lane, and it would go underneath the sheet, and you could hear, things rattling around and pins, crashing, but you couldn't see them. How ungratifying that would be. That would not be fun, right? I mean, you want to know your score. And a lot of times people are like in their jobs and they hear the pins rattling around, but there's a sheet there and they don't have any idea how they're doing.
Well, and sometimes I think it's even a better illustration to say that they get to see the scoreboard. They get to see what the score is. Yay, you got 7 pins. All right, cool. I'm glad I got 7 pins, but I still don't feel I don't feel in control. I don't know where I hit it. Well, how do I get more pins? I don't.
Yeah, you've got your second ball and you don't know where to roll it because you don't know which 3 pins are still standing.
Yeah. So it's funny. A lot of times, I love that you brought this example up, Tom, because I think that this is a mistake that we use. We tell people that, what the score is, but we don't have any conversation. We don't want to tell them any of the bad stuff, right? So that would be the same thing of the sheet being up there. And yes, you got 8 pins, but I need to know if I keep creating a 7-10 split. That's important information for me. I need to know that. But a lot of times business owners don't want to share the bad news, right? They just want to tell you, oh my gosh, great job. You got 8 pins down. not so great when you got a 710 sitting there.
That's an important part of this, not wanting to share the bad news. And a lot of that is so much of that is head trash because it really isn't bad news. It is news that can be valued and appreciated if, and it gets back to the whole trust thing, if the trust is there.
I agree. Yeah.
So, if you can't get there, then you spend all day building a spreadsheet or looking, you don't have enough money in the bank and trying to figure out, how you're going to make payroll and you're looking for a better deal on window cleaner to try to save $1. I mean,
Yeah. All right, I got another example. This is again, we didn't talk about groups. So why are we talking so much about groups today? I don't know. But here's another one. Okay, so I was in a lot of groups today, and there was a lot of frustration because everybody was doing this thing. That's why we're talking about it. But one of the things that we do in the Monday check-in is that people have to evaluate. They have to evaluate themselves. They rate a few things about themselves. One, they rate the condition of their KPIs. What condition are they in? Are they looking good? Are they not looking good? Then they have to rate their execution on a scale of 1 to 5. They have to rate their execution from last week, the things that they said they would do toward their goals, etc. And one of the hardest things that there is for me, this is a hard place that I have to get people over this hurdle, is they want to rate themselves really high when they were really busy, but they didn't do the right things.
Right.
And I can't tell people how to rate themselves, but it is a mark. Sorry, Denise. It's frustrating to rate yourself, right? So sometimes it can feel like you can't win. Like I was so busy last week. You don't understand. I was so busy. I'm giving myself a 5. Absolutely. You can give yourself a 5. But you know what your subconscious is thinking? I don't really need to work toward my goals. As long as I'm busy, I'm doing well. And that's not a message you want to tell yourself, right? You want to tell yourself that I get the high score when I do the right things at the right time.
When you're setting your goals, you typically set your goals based on what's most important. And a lot of times our behavior is driven by what we're most comfortable with. And sometimes they don't match. We all have a strong suit. We enjoy sales, or we enjoy building marketing campaigns, or we enjoy, fill in the blank. And there's other parts of our business that we really don't feel comfortable with and really don't enjoy. And sometimes those are the important things that we need to be spending our time on. But if we don't, I guess, commit to it and hold ourselves accountable, it doesn't happen.
We actually had somebody, I love this. This is the first time that this has happened with this woman. She rated herself, she hadn't gotten the stuff done, and she rated herself a 2. In the past, she had always rated herself like a 4 or maybe even a 5 and not getting the stuff done because she was busy. And so she rated herself a 2. And I was like, whoa, what the heck? Why are you giving yourself a 2? What's going on there? And she's like, yeah, I was busy, but I didn't do the right stuff. I see it. And this is my favorite part. I said, why? And she's like, I finally figured out I don't want to do it. And so I don't like it. I don't want to do it. I'm like, oh my gosh, breakthrough. That's a breakthrough. Once you recognize that, you can get around it, right? But lying to yourself and giving yourself that 5, it's not helping you.
And we're moving from excuses to reasons.
Yes. Yeah. And she did. Yes. Awesome. And so now what's the smart move for her now? Yeah. She gave that job to somebody else. Mm-hmm. Yes. Why has it been on your plate for 3 weeks? You got sucker off. You do stuff that's better, that you will do.
So, if you're the CEO of the business, you don't have to do everything in the business. You just have to build a team that can do the important things in the business. And if you don't want to do it, fine. Build a team with people that
Yeah.
want to do the things and do the things well that you don't want to do.
And sometimes you have to do the stuff that you don't want to do until you create the system that, or you create the team that can get it done. But until you recognize that you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it, that you don't do it well, you keep making excuses for yourself, you're going to be stuck.
But it's a different mindset at that point because you know what the end game is. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not going to be doing this forever, but I'm going to do this till I can get to the point where I don't have to do it because it's important.
Do well and find others who can do what we aren't good at. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That is a great reminder. All right.
As you were saying, practice makes permanent, not necessarily perfect. If you don't recognize and reward results, they won't get repeated. Regular recognition will make perfect. That's what Craig says.
Yeah.
And Craig's run some pretty impressive companies.
Oh my gosh, such a good question. You see this question we have, the filthy bucket. I don't know. Who are you that owns the filthy bucket? Do you know who that is?
Nope.
I'd love to know your name. How do you build the team and profits at the same time? That is a great question. We are talking about profit today, Tom. You have some suggestions, ideas. I think this is more of a philosophy than anything. Did it not post, Tom? I thought I posted it.
Maybe it did. Yeah, it did. It's in chat. And
oh, I put it in chat. That's why. All right.
Here's the new, I guess this is the new version. Jim Cranfield bought the intellectual property. Mine looks like this, but the pages are all more.
I listened to mine, but I love it. I think I ended up buying the hard copy too because it has a lot of actionable things to do.
You want to get the hard copy.
Yeah.
It's got all kinds of graphs and charts and things that you want to see.
Oh, you can go. It has a link, so you can go to the website and look at it too. But you can use the stuff. You can use it more. I found it more useful to have the hard copy. I like both.
So how do you build a team of profits at the same time? That's a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. The reason why this is actually a great question, Whitney, is because this is where people get stuck. They're like, yes, I know that, but I can't do it all. I'm at this place. So what you got for us, Tom?
One of the things that we talk about in foundations is this concept called the Valley of Despair. And when you're a small company, like if you're a solo cleaner cleaning by yourself, you're going to make money because your expenses are kind of modest. You're cleaning, a couple homes a day, maybe. So at the end of the week, you've got money in your hands in your bank account that you didn't have before. And you can go ahead and you can hire maybe a relative or a friend or something to work with you and pay them some wage. And arguably you're making more money. But at some point it's like, I'm going to build this into a larger business. I'm going to build an organization where I'm working on my business rather than in my business. And then you start incurring expenses. And next thing you know, I need an office, I need some vehicles, oh, I need to get insurance now, I need somebody to answer the phone. It's nice having somebody to answer the phone and do your scheduling or do your payroll or do all the stuff you don't want to do. But you know what? They're not cleaning a single home. They're nothing but a pure operating expense. And what will happen in most cases, what used to be something that you had money left over at the end of the week, you're actually putting money into it, and you might have less money in the bank at the end of the week than what you did at the beginning of the week because you're building your business. And I guess from an accounting standpoint, they call that like working capital or capital investment. And sometimes you wind up losing money for a while, getting to the other side of the valley of despair where you're big enough to pay for the crew, the support staff that you need to perform, those activities. So how do you do that? I guess a lot of it depends upon how much working capital you have, if you have, if you have any, and do you want to, how much of that do you want to invest in your business as you're growing it to carry it through that period of time where, you've got these people on your payroll who aren't cleaning homes, but you're going to need them to get to the larger business. If you don't have a lot of working capital, you got to do it more carefully and it's a little more slowly. But you've got typically, you've got somebody else in your organization that's cleaning homes for you that has some other skills where they can contribute in a way other than just generating revenue from cleaning homes. And maybe you have them come into the office an hour earlier in the day or hang around for a half hour in the afternoon or take one day a week where they can help with the activities that they have the skills to do. So they're not like doing that 5 days a week. They're still generating revenue for you, but for a slice of time, they're doing that work that falls into the category of building your team. And as the business gets bigger, you can give them more hours doing that work. I mean, that's another way to kind of do it, what they call bootstrapping, where you're not really losing any money. You're leaving a little bit of profit on, giving up some profit for some limited amount of time as you're using those people to help you build the business to be bigger down the road.
And also another little piece that you can add on there is you got to be lean, right? And in those times, you have to be running lean. You have to be paying attention. Again, we're going back to those numbers, right? You have to be paying attention to your expenses. And when you're going through the valley of despair, all the pennies count. Right? They all count.
You be paying attention to every job you're doing too, to make sure that it's priced right. And if not, making the price adjustments you need to. A lot of times, if we took, we spend all of our time looking at the expense side. If we took more of that time and spent it on the revenue side, there's a lot of money to be found there a lot of times too.
Yeah, it's a good point, Tom. I think that is always comes second because people are afraid of raising prices. They're afraid.
It's safer and it's comfortable looking for a better deal on window cleaner than it is talking to a cleaning professional about their productivity or talking to a client about needing to pay you more for the service you are offering. Shopping for better deal on vacuum cleaners and window cleaner and is just safer. It's comfortable.
All right, Tom, what do you got there?
Oops. Need to purchase some kind of business platform on my new laptop. What do you guys recommend to keep track of customer sales and so on and so forth?
So we didn't tee her up. For those of you that are normally on this show, you're thinking, oh, they must have asked her to say that. We didn't. She just really wants to know. We're going to pull it up here for you, Linda. This is definitely what we recommend.
In the long run, as you grow your business, Made Central is, I would suggest, where you want to be. It has the most robust functionality and reporting and management tools to scale a cleaning business. If you're relatively new in the game and if money's tight and your time is tight, I mean, there's some simpler solutions out there. ZenMaid, Jobber, Launch 27 if you're looking for a tool that's more focused at sales more so than the management, and they're all viable solutions. If you've got the inclination and time to invest in implementing software that's going to grow your business over the long run, Made Central is worth a look.
Which one transitions easiest, Tom? I would recommend that one. Bottom line is, as your business grows, you're going to find yourself really frustrated if you are not using Made Central. It's just too much functionality that you're going to feel like, you're going to get FOMO around not having it. So which one do you think transitions easiest, Tom? Do you know? He does not like that I'm putting him on the spot about this.
No, that's fine. And actually, have some information that I received today that would really let me answer that question fairly, a lot more accurately than what I could without that information. Off the top of my head, I would say ZenMaid probably has the most data that you can export and import into Main Central.
Okay.
But
so if you're not ready for Made Central yet, look at ZenMaid. Right?
Yeah.
Give it a shot. All right, we're way past time, and I do have a quick announcement. Tomorrow is my very first installment of WWLD.live. What would Liz do? .live. We're going to be doing a live Zoom. If you want to have some of your employee or customer questions answered, join us tomorrow. Same time as Smart Business Moves, 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern. Hope to see you there. We've got a few questions already on the docket. So that's it.
And we'll be back Wednesday, 5 o'clock Eastern. The Smart Business Moves. We're going to be automations in the month of February. So we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun with that. So take care. We'll see you tomorrow at WWLD and Wednesday Smart Business Moves. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.